Sure.
Okay, so we are recording. I'm Gene A. I am the facilitator for Hearts of Wulin, written by Lowell Francis and Agatha Chang. We're doing this game, which is part two of a two-part session for Gauntlet Con 2019. I'm joined by three players. We'll go left to right by my screens. Well, if you can introduce yourself and the character you're playing, we'll go with Brian, Jen, and then Phil will finish this off.
All right, I'm Brian. I'm playing Doc Jonah, who's a Bravo. Lots of stuff related to cards.
Right. It's kind of a gambler aspect. And in the last session, Doc Jonah was in a card game, and he and his compatriot Terrence Hill won a huge uncut diamond. So we'll get into that later. Jen, if you could introduce yourself and your character, please.
I'm Jennifer. I am playing Amy Quackenbush, our mysterious woman of mystery.
Okay. And let's see. We'll go ahead and go with Phil. Phil, can you introduce yourself and your character, please?
Sure. Philip Rogers, he, him, and I'm playing Terrence Hill. He uses the Outsider playbook, and he is he's slightly older than the others. He's seen a lot of the world. He wanders around, tends to get into a little bit of trouble. He was a Canadian, but definitely gets involved in some of the problems here out west, and apparently he's starting to cause a lot too.
Okay, cool. So Peter will be joining us later, or maybe not. We'll see what they're able to do. Bless you, by the way, Phil.
Thank you.
So just a very brief summary of what we did last time. There's been a death in a town called Penance in the New Mexico territory. All of the characters 5 years ago spent some time in this town, where they became acquainted with the locals, and they met the person who was shot, who was a local figure named Jasper McGillicuddy. There were rumors that Jasper was in some fishy business, and certainly may have been a bandit. Who knows? He was shot by Spencer McFadden. He was the sheriff. The sheriff had an excellent reputation, but things have been interesting since that duel, if you could call it that, because Jasper apparently did not have time to draw, which has led some to speculate as to what has happened. The group came in via the train and stopped outside of town and rode in, and upon arrival, they didn't find the reception so excellent, despite having returned to a town that they were quite familiar with. They stopped at the Salt and Malt and spoke with Josiah, who is the proprietor. And while they were there, they were accosted by locals who demanded the group turn over their guns. An argument and a fight ensued, and there were some words and bullets. And we ended with the sheriff arriving just as the issue started to escalate. So anyone have any comments or questions or want to expand on that summary? Okay.
Nope, I think that covered things.
I think we're good now.
All right. I may or may not be right on all of those, but I think we nailed the salient points. So I think we're going to progress it past the scene a little bit. We're going to say the sheriff has arrived, and we kind of left it where we could have worked out this conflict. The sheriff arriving could have escalated the conflict, and if we wanted to, we could have done the whole spiral up or down, to make it a complete fight or diffuse it. I think we're going to say we're going to go ahead and diffuse it, because I don't think that fight is going to be salient to what we need to do. Let me stop here before we go. I don't think that Amy has a link to her character, so I'm going to link it in the chat again. Or actually, I'm going to send it directly to Jennifer, so hold on a moment.
What was our roll for your party room name?
Okay. If you go to the far right of the character keeper, I linked it there.
Cool.
So it's on the sheet. It's Rationally Daring Kitten. And one of the things that we talked about at the very end of the last game was we were all going to take an advance. So before we get into the nitty gritty of it, let's all do an advance for our characters. So you should have access to the folder as well. And Jennifer, let me get you the link to that as well. First thing we're going to do is we're going to modify our characters. So look it over and see what appeals to you.
So I was thinking about taking Laughing in the Wind with the like chosen art basically being like card magic, card tricks and things like that.
Okay, let me take a look at that. You're the Bravo. Okay. Okay, to me that makes a lot of sense.
I'm thinking about taking a deadly secret, which
Okay.
is, you know, the martial world well. When you first meet someone from another faction or group, you may ask about or declare one detail of their reputation or their clan's activities.
All right. And Jen, you just got the link, so I'm not sure if you're there. You could look at the playbooks either on the spreadsheet under CC2 playbooks, or you can look it up on in the folder as well. So I'll give you a chance to pick something. I believe you're the unorthodox. Yes. You guys can go ahead and add those moves to your sheet. I see you guys have already done that. Excellent. So what do you think, Jennifer, as far as your advance for Amy? Don't feel rushed.
All the moves are good. I mean,
yeah, don't feel rushed. So what we're going to do is look it over while we're doing this, while we're going and playing, and just let me know when you want to specify what you chose. Or we could kind of workshop it too if you want to talk it over.
yeah, y'all have a lot more experience with this with this game in particular than I do. So,
I think Phil, you played this once before.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. And Phil played, I believe he played a different playbook, but
I played the Bravo, but I went Laughing in the Wind for that one. But depending on what it is, the way you kind of describe it, the way that you're a bit of a mystery. Maybe you've got some people that are helping you. So shadow boxing is interesting, which is a secret group or order aid you. You may not be aware of their assistance. Once per session.
Well, that is good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Okay, then let's do it if you're into it. Also, I'm going to give everyone an opportunity to change their moves. Like if you found that you had a move that sounded good in the first session, but now that we're into it, it's not working out for you, we can change those as well. So we can have that talk if you want. All right. I think that means that everyone is totally in love with their choices.
I'm sorry, what was that? I was totally focused on trying to copy and paste the move.
Yeah, if you want to change any of your other moves,
Oh,
knowing that what you now know after one session of whatever, you might not like your moves that you chose before. So feel free to make changes if you'd like.
I think I am, which is right now, which I had all men are brothers. I think I might want to change that to Royal Tramp, which is basically I can get out of sketchy situations because it sounds like that might be more my motif that he sort of just lucks out in some cases.
Okay, I like it. How about you, Brian? Is there anything you'd like to change as far as moves?
I think I like mine for the most part.
Okay, cool. Amy, you can make your decisions as well. Think it over. There's a lot of moves, and you may not know. But by the time you get to start seriously rolling, hopefully you'll have made that decision. Okay, so I think what happens, we're going to get right into the swing of things. So the sheriff has broken up the fight. The sheriff, of course, recognizes it. He says, Terrence, is that you?
Sheriff, it's nice to know that the law is actually going to show up here. These people have really been dropping your name.
Well, it's been a little difficult. Certainly, there's a lot of folks around here who have different ideas of how the town should be run.
Pretty much every town is full of people that know better about how to run the town. I think that's the definition of civilization. Do you need to talk to us? Because apparently here, these locals really seem to be speaking for you, but you've never really had a problem speaking for yourself.
Well, it's been a little different in recent days. Why don't you folks join me at my office? We could talk there.
Absolutely, Sheriff. I think that's a perfect idea.
Doc, Miss Quackenbush, are you willing to join us? Excellent. So you actually know where his office is. If office is, it's not far. It's just an opposite corner, basically, from the saloon.
Mm-hmm.
So he walks out, and you follow. There's also an opportunity for you guys to talk about what just happened fight-wise out of earshot of the sheriff.
Mm-hmm.
So feel free to do that if you want to do that. But otherwise, we'll just proceed straight to the saloon. I'm sorry, to his office. He enters his office, which is a pretty modest building. It has it has 2 stories. He lives in the story above his office, and there is a small set of cells in the back. There are 4. They're all unoccupied at this moment. The front of the first floor is the office per se. It's fairly open. He leads in. He says, "Well, it's not much has changed. I'll get us something to drink." So he opens a cabinet, pours out 4, because we're going to assume that Dawson is here as well. We'll play Dawson as an NPC.
Sure.
He pours 4 whiskeys out.
Can I ask a question? Based on what we know, is he somebody that's superior to us if he was potentially to be an opponent? Would he be superior to us, or would he be an equal to us?
Well, I think that is a study move, and that's something you can do. If you want to do this, Terrence, you can do a study move.
Yeah. Actually, let's see. Where's my? When I first meet someone from another faction or group, you may ask about or declare one detail of their reputation or their clan's activities.
Okay.
Would that fall in, or would the sheriff be considered a faction? Or
yes, for sure. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's something you could do without a roll, I think.
Yeah.
So if you want, you know, last time you met that he was superior, but since then, you are any one of you is probably close, but probably not surpassing his skill. You know, just based
Okay.
on where you've been.
So we've cut. You know, he's not. You know, yeah. So he could take one of us probably, but he couldn't take all of us.
I think that's a very fair assessment.
Okay.
So he puts the drinks in front of you. He pours himself a drink as well, and he pours out a six glass. And as you are wondering who the six glass is for, his daughter walks down from the rooms above, and she says, "Oh, I didn't know we had guests. You are guests."
Terrence stands up and tips his hat. Says, "Ma'am."
Oh, you folks remember my daughter, Lily? She's all grown up now.
Your
That she is.
your daughter does you credit, Sheriff.
Now, some of you have very strong entanglements with Lily, but before we get to that, let's describe what Lily looks like. Doc, what color is her hair?
Red hair.
Red hair. Terrence, what does her voice remind you of?
When somebody tickles the high keys of a piano.
Okay. And Jen, is she a tomboy, or was she a tomboy when she was younger?
Yeah, I think she was.
Okay. Well, I think she has grown out of that now and has grown into the full flower of her womanhood. So she looks at you and she says, "Oh, is that you, Doc? Mr. Hill? Miss Quackenbush?"
It is, man, and it's a pleasure to see you again.
Doc, you're very quiet.
Glad that we left an impression on you.
I think the entanglements are Doc and Terrence, right? With Lily?
Yes.
Okay. This is definitely, you are now a little bit in a conflict. So you guys have to make rolls.
Okay.
We're gonna go with Doc first because Doc hasn't rolled anything yet. So, or he's get him in the mix. Okay, so when you come face to face with emotional turmoil and pressure from an entanglement or personal issue, mark XP and roll anything except your style element. On a 10 plus, you keep it together. On a 7 to 9, you must flee the scene or mark an element. On a miss, things get more involved.
All right, here goes. So that is an 8.
Don't forget to mark XP before you before you even roll.
Yep. So on an 8, you must either flee the scene, in other words, you might have to leave, or you mark an element and you just you rough it out.
Let's see here. So do I mark the element that I used or just any?
I've had some back and forth with this. It should be the one. It should be the one that you used. However, it really doesn't matter, to be honest. I would rather that you mark the one that you think the emotion that you think is being tested at this moment, which is sometimes the same thing. In other words, let's use your discretion.
Don't use your style.
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Plus your style is metal, which is control, calculation, reflection. It's probably not the one in play right now.
Yeah, it'd probably be fire.
Okay. Now you can unmark that condition again with if you get support from someone else, like from your team. Okay, so what does that look like? Lily's talking directly, saying, "Why are you so quiet, Doc? So, and what's your response? Like, what does that look like on camera?
So he clearly like falters for a second, and so as I said, like often he's like, you know, shuffling cards or whatever, and then like he clearly like as she walked in, like stopped shuffling. And then moment is like, oh well, I was sorry, I was just momentarily taken aback by your beauty.
I think she blushes and she says, "Oh, you're still up to your old tricks, Doc. You said that when I was little too."
Well, it's only more true now.
All right, Terrence. I think you also need to um, test yourself on this one.
Sure. What I'm actually going to roll is wisdom. And part of the reason for it is I'm too old for Lily.
Yeah.
I'm too crusty for Lily. I just want to, yes, she's young and attractive. However, it's not, if I did care about her, somebody else should be in her life. So I'm going to try to roll wisdom and see if I can kind of get my emotions in check.
Sure.
And I do not.
Okay, that is a very bad roll. So,
Yeah.
So I've also had this discussion with Lowell, like on the like what happens on a mist? Would he have to leave, for example? But we are going to play a letter of the rules. You don't have to leave. You don't have to mark anything. But I do get a hard move. She says, she nods at Terrence, and she says, "Well, it's good that you folks are in town, because I'm getting married on Sunday. It'd be a pleasure if you were to come."
I think that would be wonderful. Who's the lucky man?
Oh, he's a trapper. You might have met him before. His name is we're gonna go to the thing. We're gonna say his name is Hall. Hall Johnson.
Hall Johnson. Huh?
Yeah. Do you have any like abilities that may help you with that name? Any of you, including Jen.
I don't think I have any abilities, but I know a dark secret about Lily
Yes, about
McFadden.
Lily. Okay, you do, right. We did determine that. And we said we were going to leave it unclear. Now might be a good time. What do you think that hidden secret is about Lily?
If there's something fishy about her husband to be.
Okay. I'm kind of implying that you can decide on what that is, but if you want me to do it, that's cool too.
Agency. I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, it's a thing, right?
So I think that she has for years had ties to some criminal enterprise.
Okay. And you're the only one who knows this.
And I'm the only one who knows it.
Okay.
And so her husband to be is part of it, but more, it's not that he was a part of it and she's got involved. She was involved and got him involved when they were betrothed.
Okay. So, Doc, Terrence, the name is a little familiar. You have heard that name before, probably when you were in town previously, but you can't quite place it. You notice that the sheriff is kind of looking away when she mentions that, and takes a long drink from the whiskey.
Because I kind of rolled so badly, I'm going to make kind of I'm not going to catch myself making a passive aggressive comment. I'm going to say That's mighty brave of you, ma'am, marrying a trapper. I would think a city woman like you would be want to stay in civilization, but I guess for love, you're willing to live just about anywhere.
Oh, Hall is rough, yes, but he has prospects, and I think that we'll be quite happy together.
I'm very happy for you.
And I think you notice her hand, and the ring she has is extravagant. Just even for a town, I mean, especially for a town like this, but even if you're in a larger city, you would be impressed. It is a huge diamond.
What's with all these diamonds?
She says, "Well, you gentlemen and Miss Quackenbush, you look to be needing to catch up. I'll be upstairs if you should need me." And she walks back up. She nods at Doc and Terrence.
Ma'am.
So
Seen you around.
the sheriff watches as she leaves and kind of shakes his head slightly.
Not
Yeah.
Not looking forward to the nuptials?
I don't like that Hall character. I think you
she's-
remembered him. He was he's kind of a sullen youth. I thought that Lily would marry someone else, someone more in and about town.
Well, she always ruled the house.
If her mother was still here, maybe things would have turned out differently. But she's still very pretty, so it's not like she doesn't have any suitors. A lot of broken hearts.
You see that?
Is there something wrong, Doc?
I was just wondering how Trapper must be doing quite well for himself to get such a fine diamond.
Oh, the ring. Oh, yes. Well, apparently he has some family. They say that rock came from his mother. He must really love her. It's probably worth a fortune.
Yes, I'm sure that's true.
So you're here because McGillicuddy died, yes? Here for the funeral?
That we are.
Yep.
Well, they intend to put him in the ground tomorrow, with or without you, so it's good that you arrived. But well, there's something else. There's a matter of a will.
Oh.
One of the reasons, apparently, Mr. Williams hasn't insisted on burying the body is that apparently one of you is named in it. So they want to read the will before they bury the body, in case you're liable for some expenses, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's usually how we end up in wills.
Well, hopefully it won't be too much of a hit. Mr. Williams, you know, he is the court recorder at the courthouse. More than happy to help you out. Why don't you go see him?
Hey, Sheriff. What happened?
Well, you know, Jasper and I haven't been getting on for years.
Yeah.
Between you and me, Terrence, I think McGillicuddy was up to no good for all this time.
Whole time?
Yeah, and I think I was getting a little too close. So I heard that he and his boys were looking out for me, and one evening I thought I was being followed, and turns out I was. I had to draw on him, and McGillicuddy didn't have a chance. So
Well, Sheriff, you know I trust you.
I think though that he's obviously not telling the whole story here. So
Oh,
one
he's
of you
obviously not telling the whole story.
can do a study if you want to go this direction on him, or if you have another ability that might help you.
I'll do a study. Does this count as, let's see here. I mean, it's his office, so I assume it's a formal or official setting.
Yeah, we'll say so. It kind of
means
begs
I'll
the question, what is an official
It-
setting? But
Yeah, that's. I mean, maybe just like a saloon
yeah,
might not be.
yeah. So you have a move that would help you?
Yep. So I have. I mean, it'll amount to just giving me an extra hold.
Okay.
But it's a glance. You may pick out the wealthiest or most influential person in a room. When you study in a formal or official setting, you will +1 hold.
Okay.
And I guess
So
+1 for it on acting upon the questions.
okay. So
So I got a 11.
oh, excellent. So on 11, you get 2 hold plus your additional, so you have 3. So you could spend 1 for any of the following. Now remember, 4 is a huge agency thing. You can add something to the story right there if you wanted to,
Yeah.
the 4th one. So
So I'm thinking that the sheriff has like I see like a concealed gun like in his sleeve. My idea is that basically it's like, for a normal duel, it's like reach for your holsters. But so he had that so he could like, it's why he didn't have a chance to draw a gun in response because he didn't even see the sheriff like
right. Sheriff didn't need to
reaching.
draw. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're studying him and you just notice that he has a hidden arm in his up his sleeve, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you have
1,
2 other holds.
2 more. I guess I'm wondering what the sheriff would know about. I mean, not that we knew. So Amy knows, but like about what the trapper is up to.
Okay, I think the way you'd have to phrase that is whether it's kind of tricky because you're asking about one
Yeah.
character through the eyes of another, and I think that it's kind of a weird thing. I can tell you that, but basically, I'm not sure give you the details that you'd want. You could hold on to these questions too. You don't have to do them right now.
Yeah, I think I'll hold on and think about it a little bit, and then.
Okay. He is, but he's clearly not telling you the whole story. Amy, Terrence, Doc, you all know that Jasper was at least as skilled a gunfighter as the sheriff was when you all knew them. So you would think that the only way that the sheriff could outright beat Jasper so badly is if there was something happening, some extenuating circumstance.
If he ambushed and bushwhacked him.
Maybe.
No, so I guess I don't know if this would be the ask or a reveal. I'm thinking like there's like a hidden safe or something like that, or a drawer in the sheriff's office that like I noticed.
Yeah, I think we'll say that's a reveal. Like you do notice that there's a like I think behind the coat rack, no, behind the rifle rack, there's like a discolored part of the wall, and you notice your long career as a gambler. That's where they usually put a secret safe when the wallpaper is a different color. It means it aged differently. So you don't necessarily see the safe, but you know there's one back there. So the sheriff says, yeah, I think he wants to change the subject. You probably should go see Mr. Williams at the courthouse.
Yeah, Sheriff, I think you're probably right. We're just burning daylight at this point.
Yeah, I think you made him uncomfortable with that question about McGillicuddy. You also noticed that he is going through the whiskey fairly fast, and Amy, you notice that that behind the desk there's a couple empty bottles. So he's been hitting it pretty hard. Well, gentlemen, Ms. Quackenbush, I have some paperwork to do. If you need me, I'll be here in my office. You know the way of the courthouse, it's the big building with the bell on it.
Thanks, Sheriff. And I reach out and shake his hand and just go, it's good to see you again.
Funeral's at noon on Boot Hill.
Funeral and a wedding. Good thing I brought both sets of clothes.
I think that does elicit a smile. I think that is pretty funny. So,
finish the whiskey and say thanks. Seeing you around as well.
All right, Miss Quackenbush, any parting thoughts?
It's always a pleasure, Sheriff.
So he nods, and I think that's your cue to step outside.
Terrence steps up and turns his back and walks out.
You guys don't have much to say to each other at this point.
How in tarnation did we get on that man's will?
I don't know. Just and why did the sheriff? None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense.
Well, it looks like the sheriff was definitely planning on ensuring that he'd win with a gun up his sleeve.
I kind of look over and I kind of flash my sleeve and I kind of point at your sleeve. I go, I don't know. I think pretty much all of us have it, but you usually just don't expect a sheriff to have one. My weapon is concealed.
Brian, you guys are all standing in the street, and you look up and you see that Lily is watching the four of you, because Dawson's still there, is watching the four of you from her window. And as she notices you notice, she steps back and pulls the curtain.
Go get myself some flowers.
Uh-huh.
After figuring out if this will thing is good or bad.
All right, so I think you're going to make your way down the street to the courthouse. The courthouse is a large public building. It's also in addition to the courthouse, it's also used for civic gatherings, maybe dances and that kind of thing. But right now, it's actually just a very quiet office. So there's a couple rooms in the front, and then there's a large assembly room. And then it is a tall building with a bell in a tower hanging over it. When you open the door, a voice from back says, I'll be there in a minute. You step in, very quiet. You see some documents on the counter. A couple offices. There's room for several clerks, but it's clear that there's only one clerk here right now. He is making you wait.
I would like to take the opportunity while I'm waiting to kind of scan and just see what I can see without being obvious.
Sure. To me, that sounds like a study as well. So if you'd like to do that roll, that'd be great.
Let's see. I guess curiosity. So that would be wood. Sorry. 9.
9. Okay. So I think I can see 1. So we're pretty familiar with the list now. Again, you do have a lot of agency if you reveal a detail. If you want to add something, we could totally go down that road.
Yeah, I would like us to see the bottom of a land deed with Lily's name on it.
Excellent. I'm totally into it. Yeah. It's upside down. So you're kind of like, looking at it. What do you think?
We can't see what it is, but
Yeah.
we just, we can't see what it is unless we overturn the stack, which would obviously get the attention of the clerk. But Lily doesn't strike me as a landowner.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mr. Williams takes his time. This is exactly the right time. He comes out just as you notice that. He walks out the counter and says, "Oh, he must be new here. You don't remember seeing him 5 years ago." He says, "Oh, that's where I left this paperwork." And he puts another stack of papers on top of that deed that you just spied, Terrence.
Okay.
Gentlemen, ma'am, how can I help you?
Heard that one of us is in a will.
Oh, right. You must be the out-of-towners. Wow. Okay. Why don't you come in back and we'll go look at the document. And he kind of shouts in the back, Amos, we need you as a witness. You hear someone in the back say, "Okay, I'll be right there." So he leads you. He like pulls out the bar on the door, and you walk back through the into the secured area of the courthouse. Gentlemen, have a seat.
And lady.
Oh, and miss, of course. Have a seat. We'll look at this will. Amos comes back. He is he looks to be like a roustabout or a kind of a hand. He's obviously not a clerk or a legal person at all. He's basically the custodian. He kind of he looks you over. You have seen him before. He says, "Oh, haven't seen folks in years." But clearly he has no like other function there, just to watch the proceedings. He does have a rather large knife at his side, though, which is a little unusual. Mr. Williams sits down. He is a slight man, not very tall. He's completely bald, wears some wire spectacles. He says, "I understand that Doc Jonah, is that your real name, sir?"
Of course.
Doc isn't a nickname for something else.
I mean, it's what they call me.
Okay. Terrence Hill. One of you, Terrence Hill?
I'm Terrence Hill.
I see. Okay. This is have a little paper here. Served in the war. Interesting.
Sort of.
It says here that you You were with the Confederates in the Army. You saying you didn't serve with them?
Nope. Served in the British Army.
Oh. Oh. All righty. I'll just make that correction right here. Dawson Freed. And Dawson kind of nods, and that's me. Finally, you must be Miss Quackenbush.
Nod and tip my hat.
Miss Quackenbush, why are you with these gentlemen? Clearly, you're meant for a different kind of living than with these three fine men.
One would think so.
Okay. Well, I have your descriptions here. Let me just make sure they all match up. This is well before fingerprinting technology. The description is pretty much as good as it's going to get. All right. Well, Amos here is going to be our witness that I've identified the persons in the will. In addition to being the clerk, I do the legal proceedings here for Judge Thompson when he's in town. He has a circuit, of course. He rides in and out of Hobbs and some of the other places. He won't be back for. Oh, he'll be back on Sunday. He's gonna officiate that wedding. You heard about it, right, Miss McFadden?
Mm-hmm. She's certainly grown up, hasn't she?
Oh, she's a darling woman. That Johnson though. Wish I could say more for that young man.
Honestly, that's the nicest thing that anybody's said about him so far.
Well, I shouldn't cast aspersions on his character, but he does hang out with scurrilous folk.
Yeah.
But he must know something of Judge Thompson. I guess Judge Thompson might be doing a favor for Miss McFadden's father. That is quite an official to oversee one's marriage. Anyway, I've identified the four of you. I need you to sign these documents right here. He moves some papers around, and the three of you see that deed again. Like, he's moving the papers that he had brought out. You see the deed again. You all now see it, that Lily's on it. And it's clear that this deed has something to do with the papers that he's sifting through. In other words, the will. So he says, excellent. Well, turns out Mr. McGillicuddy had far more assets than we thought. He owns some land.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe Mr. Hill, that you are now the owner of a mine.
Well, huh.
Now there's contingents here. I believe there's the mine. There's a corporation attached to it. There's some shares involved. I think all three of your partners here are shareholders in whatever operations there, but the land itself is yours. Sign here. He puts some papers in front of you.
Partners.
Well,
yeah, there's two things here. There's land and there's a corporation. Shareholders. He left all the stock to you four.
question: is this corporation profitable, or is this corporation just an albatross that I would hang around my neck as soon as I put my John Hancock on this piece of paper?
Okay, this is about Terrence, right? And
Yep.
Maybe the others. How much of this is in his background? I mean, what do you think?
I would say that since he was a military officer that worked with another army,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things he's accustomed to seeing at this point in his career was written orders.
Okay.
And written orders were very precise. They were written out in flowing, what we would almost use as legalese. Like I kindly request that this gentleman move, or basically, I need you to move the soldiers, but it's his long flowing document. So I think that because of that, he's more accustomed to reading something like that and picking out a little bit of the truth than than we would expect a cowpoke to normally be.
Okay. What Jonah, or Doc Jonah, what do you think Doc's experiences are with this kind of document? Property and money.
I suspect he would have at least some, because I could see for like high stake games where deeds might come into play.
Sure. Sure.
And
He's
probably
he's hung around with some high rollers. Yeah.
Yeah. So he probably like his main experience is just like getting a feel for if it's actually worth something. Because he doesn't really hang on to land, but like sometimes deeds have come and gone through his hands.
Okay. What about Amy? Do you think Amy has any experience with this kind of stuff?
I don't think she has much business experience per se, but she probably knows her way around contracts and paperwork and.
Sure. Also, I think we're gonna say that Amy actually knows the place, right?
It might be what she's here.
Yeah, Amy knows the property. So like at the very top of the document, it describes the property. Amy has been there before. 5 years ago, she was there, and we'll talk about why Amy might have been there.
Oh, interesting.
But we're going to say that that Doc and Terrence are looking over the documentation, and I will give you both one study for free. You don't have to make this roll. You can ask a question about it, but I will basically tell you that the company is barely profitable. It is not in arrears, and all of its taxes have been paid throughout this entire year. The only thing that would cost any money is like a filing fee at this point, which is, we're going to say like $2, which is maybe in today's money maybe a couple $100. Nothing. It's almost nothing for you guys. It's not making a ton of money. Otherwise, you would have had a dividend at this point. But you don't know anything about the property, Terrence and Doc. Amy, maybe. I'm not sure how much Amy's revealing at this point.
Did you say we get one study?
Yes. So both of you, like, if you wanted to add something about this deal, we can do it right now.
I would.
Okay, cool. Let's hear it.
On the back of the quitclaim for the deed, it's you can see where it was, and before Jasper owned it, the previous owner was Charlie Quackenbush.
Ah, okay. I like it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I am really into that. Oh, wow, that is a really cool twist. So, Brian, go ahead.
I'll add that there's because like the three of us are shareholders.
We're still counting Dawson.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
So yeah. Well, like yeah, I guess Terrence is also shareholder but owns the property. But that there are additional shareholders, and Lily is one of them.
Ah, okay. I like it. Does that sound cool with everyone?
Yeah.
All right. So, otherwise, everything looks correct. Like the will is valid, all the numbers make sense. There's the tax record of how long they paid. It doesn't explain the claim from the former owner, but all of that was handled correctly as well. So there's nothing weird about that. There might have been something weird about the actual transaction, but all the papers were signed correctly. So it's all going to go through. All you need to do is sign it. So he puts the documents in front of you.
Well, once more onto the breach. And then I lean forward and put my Terrence Hill right there on the line.
Okay. What about Doc?
It's always good to have more things with my name on it, and I write.
All right. Dawson looks at the two of you and reaches over and signs it. That leaves Amy.
I think Amy's hand shakes as she signs it.
Okay. She says, I think you all notice it, but Mr. Williams does as well. And he says, "Oh, were you close to Mr. McGillicuddy, Miss Quackenbush? I'm sorry to hear of your loss."
Not that close.
He nods. I see. Well, give me a day to get some copies made of this, or it looks like I have a busy morning ahead of me. I need to make 4 copies of this. But I'll have the paperwork done by the funeral. Oh, and the charges for that. The undertaker has passed me his bill. It's going to be $1.50.
I'll
He pushes
hand him over $1.50.
He pushes the bill in front of you. Very good. Take a moment. Amos, I need you to sign here as the witness, and there's some other things. Some keys and that kind of thing. I'll be right back. And he gets up, and Amos kind of walks to the door. He's clearly bored by all of this. He doesn't care at all. So he's kind of looking out through the smoked windows, with his back to you. Mr. Williams goes to the back, gets some keys, leaving you 3 to be able to chat. But Amos is there, but is not necessarily, paying much attention. We're going to take our break right here. It's 9:30. We're going to call it a 10-minute break and meet back at 9:45 by my clock. You guys are East Coasters, so that doesn't mean anything to you. But by 45 past the hour, let's come back and continue.
Sounds good.
All right. I'll see you guys then.
See you then.
So there's that. And you look at the documents. You find that a lot of them are bills of sale. It appears that the sheriff has been buying some of the claims around town for the mines. So there's that. The interesting thing is that it's not under his name. It's just McFadden. So some of them do bear his obvious signature, but the ones at the bottom bear his wife's signature. So you're not sure what that's all about. But it looks like the McFaddens own a few hundred acres outside of town.
All right. Yeah, and you said there was like a couple thousand.
Yeah. Again, this is bounty money.
Yeah.
Not his personal fortune. Clearly, there's stacks of this. Like, not more than 1,000. You'd think it's not one of those offices. But it's used to pay bounties and petty things. So yeah. Other than that, not much more. So, do you take anything with you? Do you stash it? What do you do?
So yeah. So as I said, I will still leave swap the gun. So take that one. I'll leave the papers. I'll take I don't know, 200, an amount that in theory shouldn't be obvious, on the assumption that sheriff that's been drinking lots of whiskey probably doesn't keep precise track.
Okay.
And then I'll leave. So the bottles of whiskey they brought, I basically leave them on his desk with ace of hearts.
Okay. Cool.
And then I will slip away.
Okay. So obviously you're gonna close everything up as if you hadn't been there, right?
Yeah.
Other than the bottles of whiskey. We're gonna say you're doing all of that when you hear a voice behind you, and the voice says, "Doc, is that you?"
Do I recognize the voice? Is it the?
You turn around, or no? You recognize the voice. You don't need to turn around. It's Lily.
I'll say, "Oh yes, I had wanted to see you, but you were out."
What are you doing here?
Goes,
I know you wanted to see me, but this is my father would be really upset that you're here without him being here.
Well, I feel like this is more of a better conversation with just us. I didn't want to get your father involved.
She looks you over and says, "Yeah, I think I'd like that as well. There's been so much going on. My father's he's been so strange since that shooting. I don't know who to talk to."
Well, is there a good place that we could talk?
Well, I think, this is going to sound strange, but the cells are really private.
Sure, that won't cause problems. Okay.
Okay, so she lights a lamp because you doused your own lamp when you exited, or you were planning to exit, and she lights a lamp, says, "Okay, it's just right here. Let me grab the key." She takes the key off the hook, and she unlocks the first cell, and she says, "Okay, we haven't had a prisoner in a really long time, so it is actually, as much as you hate to admit it, very cozy. It's roughly soundproof as far as you're going to get in the 19th century, but it is very private." She has a seat on the bench, and she says, "Doc, have a seat next to me."
I'll sit down.
I didn't think you'd actually show up. I've been thinking about you and the boys and Miss Quackenbush lately. It's funny, but Mr. McGillicuddy's death brought back a lot of memories.
Which ones? I've been thinking about you recently too.
Have you? Okay, now it's inner conflict time. For
Yep.
sure. All right. Let's make a roll.
All right.
And you have to choose a style other than your fighting style. I mean, an element other than your fighting style.
Yeah, I'm gonna say fire again because yeah, passion. So
Okay.
so 11.
All right. So an 11, you're able just to handle it, right?
Yeah, I think it's just,
Okay.
yeah.
So she takes her hands and says, I'm really not sure if I want to marry Mr. Johnston.
I don't think you should.
I have to.
Why? If there's some problem, I'm sure I could help you with it.
All right. So now she produces a flask of whiskey out of her dress, and she takes a draw and she kind of sees if you want to, offers it to you.
I'll take some too.
All right. It's a little odd, and mostly you think it's because it's warm because it's been a flask against her body, but it's also like kind of a weird, not unwelcome taste. She says, "Mr. Johnson has something on my father. Something it
Well,
would ruin him."
is it something he physically has that could
He
disappear?
he knows something. I he knows something, and my father can't do anything about it.
Well, sounds like I should give him a visit.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah.
She nods. I I don't want this to come back to my father. If anything were to happen, he'd blame my father, and my father would suffer for it.
Well, don't worry. I'll make sure that doesn't happen.
I'm so glad to hear you say that. And she leans over and kisses you.
I'll kiss her back.
Okay. She says, "Well, I think we're agreed." And he's staying at a boarding house on the outskirts of town. Talk to him and see what you could get him to agree upon. I don't want to get married to him.
Well, I'll make sure that doesn't happen.
And I think just then you hear like the lock of the front door opening, and you hear a very drunken sheriff stumbling through the office, and she kind of puts her thing to her lips so that he doesn't hear you. And with that, we'll go back to Terrence and Amy. Terrence, you have just crawled out of a pit.
I proceed to clean my hat off, brush myself down a little bit, and I say, "Thank you, Miss Quackenbush. Though I have to confess, up until this point, I did not put two and two together and come up with four. You'd be surprised how many Quackenbushes I've run into in these parts."
Quackenbush in every bush.
Yeah, there's just it's every Tom, Dick, and Quackenbush here, around New Mexico in the 1870s. Didn't necessarily put those together. I'm sorry, ma'am. I like to think that I never drew my weapon on somebody that didn't draw one on me first, or I didn't have a paper that somebody told me that they were a nefarious individual and that I was tracking them down. I remember a Charlie Quackenbush, but all I remember was I was told that he was a malefactor, and people in these parts were terrified of him. He was rustling the women and herding the cattle. And he was a terrible man. He was the last. He was another plague on humanity. And I felt like it was my duty to take this man down. And
how was Amy responding to this?
I think she largely suspected as much. It doesn't make it feel better to her, but she's more interested in getting those responsible.
Okay. Well, you have an option now. If you think that this was enough to kind of resolve this entanglement, you should change your entanglement to something like, now you have to find who was really responsible. So it's not really. So when you come up, the idea being that once you come up against that storyline again, we'll be rolling against that. Or you can keep this. Maybe you don't forgive Terrence right now, or maybe you suspect Terrence is not being sincere, or we can modify this in some way. But if you accept his apology now, obviously we can't hit this inner conflict again.
Ma'am, I will tell you this. I don't know who put his name on a piece of paper, but what I do have is a lot of people that know me. I can try to find out who swore that your husband was a dastardly individual. And maybe, just maybe, we can actually find out who should have been on that piece of paper that day. I know that it probably doesn't fix things between you and I, ma'am, but it's what I can offer today. And regardless of this, I do owe you for helping me.
And I think this is a good time for Amy to share what she knows about Lily McFadden.
Well, let's RP it. Let's hear you tell it.
It's funny you should say that. I already have some ideas about who's responsible.
Well, it's just you and me here. Who are you thinking?
There's something foul going on in the McFadden family.
Yeah, I know. Pretty though, but wrong. It's just off. It's just like, yeah, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the sheriff. I knew just the way that people were acting around him. When there was a mob scene telling us that we had to turn in our weapons, that it's not the sheriff that I knew. He would have. It's not the way he did. It's not the way he did things. He's drinking too much, and something's wrong. Something's really, really wrong.
I think he's drinking because he knows what I know about Lily.
What do you know about Lily?
I suspect, I guess is a better word. I suspect she is the one responsible for this whole scheme.
You think that pretty lady's got her fingers in the puppet strings?
I do.
Even when she was young. God, this is going to sound disturbing, the fact that I'm going to say this, when she was 15, when I was... even when she was young, she just had one of those pretty faces. And she could always manipulate everybody.
Let's clarify her age. We'll say that when you guys knew her, she was 20, because I don't want to make this too creepy.
Good.
She was 25.
Because I'm sitting there going, oh, God, this could go really bad.
Yeah.
It was a different time.
One of our lines is going to cross in this thing.
It's creepy.
Yep. So yeah, even,
True to history, but creepy.
Even when she was a young woman in her 20s,
Like most history.
yeah, she could make men dance. She knew what she was doing. She always did. She always could push. Her father wouldn't make a decision except find a way to dote on her. We were all like that. Not much I wouldn't have done for that lady. So yeah, I could see that.
I think that. Oh, go ahead.
Are you yeah, I know what you did there, Terrence.
Mm-hmm.
Are you suggesting that you had a thing for Lily to Amy? I mean, is that
Yes.
okay?
And I was just it's a powerful waste of womanhood right there.
I think that's when you hear the gunshot outside and you hear the shriek of a horse, a very ugly shriek of a horse.
I will
You
kill
can tell
every
that's
man.
an ugly horse.
My horse has been shot 7 times. He's going to make it. There's a reason why he's this ugly. He was a beautiful horse at one point. Just
He's like a cat, 9 lives.
So I draw my shooting iron, and I just say, "Ma'am," as I'm already running towards the horse.
Okay. You also hear Amy, your horse, which is, like like essentially the paladin warhorse equivalent of horse. If you look on Amy's sheet, she has a badass horse. So you hear your horse whinnying and running off. Actually, you might hear both of them running off. You're not sure exactly if anyone was shot at all.
Yeah, just been noise, yeah.
But you hear someone calling into the shaft, and someone says, "Hill, Quackenbush, we know you're in there. Nowhere to run. You're not getting out of this. You can make this easier, you make this hard."
Seems our inheritance has put targets on our backs as well.
I don't know. I kind of like it when things go hard. Who's out there? Who's trespassing on my land?
Not your land for long.
I looked over and I go, I've never said that before. I've never owned land.
This is new for you. You're the wanderer.
This is great. Kids, get off my lawn.
My dirty, horrible lawn.
Who's out there? I want to know what your names are going to be when I put them on the crosses.
There's 24 of us, Hill. You're not getting out.
I got a bullet for each of you.
Okay, so we are going to resolve that. That is going to be a fight. There's no way they want to talk it over unless you do something really wizardly. This is going to be a fight.
Not necessarily, because I have something.
That's true. So look over your sheets. Plan on it. We're going to go back to Brian for a little bit.
Yep.
So, Brian, Lily puts her finger to her lips and kind of shakes her head and gets up and goes to talk to her father. You have, again, a supernatural ability to get out of places. You can leave without anyone seeing you. You can do that, or you can hang around and see what happens.
I think I'll. I kind of want to slip out, but just to a spot where I could hear them.
Okay. All right. That's fine. I'll let you do that, but to hear them, I'm gonna have to make you do an overcome roll.
Seems reasonable.
Okay. So you as she exits and she's talking to her father. Father, you're drunk again, and so that's the beginning of the conversation. He says, "Yeah, I had some business to attend to. The bottle got the best of me," and so you slip out. And there's a tall window that you can easily prop open from here and just hop through. So when you're through that window, you can kind of lean in and listen. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So decide what element you want to choose. and then we'll roll for it.
I think wood, because curiosity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seems-
I like it. Let's do it. Okay, so
That's
your
a lovely 5.
but your wood was 0. Is that what you said?
Yep.
Okay, so they're talking about something, and Lily is speaking in like a normal room voice, and the sheriff's voice is a little pleading, very slurred, and the only thing you hear is Lily says, "Oh, "Okay, I think you need your laudanum now," and you hear them clamber off upstairs.
All right.
Okay, so are you off to see Mr. Johnson, or
Yeah,
what's your plan?
My plan was basically like to go see if Terrence and Amy and them have reappeared, and if they had, head with them.
Okay, all right. I think then what we have to really do is we have to resolve that fight at the mine, and then if things go well, they might be coming with you to see Mr. Johnson. If not, you might have to do it solo. Does that sound okay?
Yep. That sounds good.
All right. So back at the mine, you've been given an ultimatum, and someone's horse may be shot. So
What I would like to try is, what I would like to try is my Royal Tramp ability.
okay,
One of the things I do want to do is I want to try to leverage my, let's see, actually, I don't, I would, Amy, Miss Quackenbush, would you, are you able to assist me because you've got a bond with me? I would like to try to use my Royal Tramp ability.
so Amy, you
to
can
get us
burn a
both
bond.
out of here.
Yeah, Amy, you can burn a bond to give him a plus.
Sure.
Okay, so reduce that on your sheet to 0, and then let's see this roll.
And I guess I have to use wood because I can't use my.
Right.
Yeah. So let's see. So it's going to be +2. 12.
Nice.
All right.
So
Excellent.
what I do is I look over at Miss Quackenbush. I go, shh, and I put my arm around her. And what I do is I put my left arm up and I pull up, and there's a ledge. And where we saw those Native American mud homes before,
yeah,
there's a ledge. And what I do is I actually crawl out with Miss Quackenbush. We crawl up and we actually go out the top of the smoke. Basically where the smoke went out,
yes,
and run over the rooftop and run out of the mines in an area where people were not expecting to see us.
Okay, I love it. I love how you bring back the Indian ruins, because I was wondering how that was going to work out. I think it's awesome. So Amy, you're running along. I mean, you follow along, obviously. Yeah, you're spending a lot of time with Mr. Hill, which I guess you never thought you'd do before. Just hours ago, he was your mortal enemy. So, one of the things that I do want to know is now you have the jump on them. You're atop the position, and you're looking down on them. I think 24 was rounding upwards. You seem more like 10 down there. But they are super well armed. Most of them have pistols. Quite a few of them have rifles. They have their weapons well covering that mine. However, they're not sure. Well, they don't know you even escaped. So there are a couple ways to play this. You could get the jump on them, and I'm going to leave this to Jennifer because she hasn't rolled yet. You get the jump on them, or you can simply escape. Because if you escape without them knowing, they may be there waiting a long time watching that mine.
It's like an hour later.
Yeah, we're
You're
gonna
all
send
still
one
in
guy
there?
in. Yeah, that's not gonna be me. Um, what do you think? I asked you this because you do have Golden Lion. So that means we're going to assume that your horse was not shot. Oh, by the way, you don't see your dead horse, Terrence. They shot in the air and the horses ran off.
Yeah, I think it's okay to escape.
Okay. I think you collect your horses. Like your horse is smart enough. I mean, smart enough to be the paladin warhorse type, where you can easily find it. We're going to say the ugly horse ran off with your horse because your horse is so awesome looking. There might be a pair now. It doesn't take you long to recollect your horses. I'll give you one last chance. Do you want to do anything to fuck with those guys at the mine?
Miss Quackenbush, I will take your lead.
You do have some ninja moves, so all this crazy agency.
I'm torn. 'Cause I want to like fight them.
I got your back. There's two of us together. We can throw something down. We can wait till half of them go in the cave, jump the other half.
Yeah. Fortunately, this is all resolved in pretty much one roll, Amy, because of the way the rules are. So we don't have to get into like the nitty gritty. Basically, you just need to make a decision.
Okay, let's go ahead and take him out.
Okay. So what does this look like? Amy nodding to Terrence, and what does this look like?
I'll throw this out there. My style is fan hand. And that's always when you see those cowboy movies where the guy has the revolver and he, snaps off the shots by fanning it.
Yeah.
Shooting into a crowd of people is kind of what I do.
Nice. What about for Amy?
I think her style of fighting is much more calculated.
Would she be able to like get them to group up better for
Yeah, her weapon is improvised too, so if you want to do something more cinematic, like trap them into the thing, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure the improvised weapon's gonna apply for this.
Sure.
But I'm thinking she'll be taking out like specific targets.
Okay.
Like the guys with rifles.
All right. So I do want to understand the interaction between Amy and Terrence, though, to agree to this, because they were literally not a few minutes ago mortal enemies, and they kind of have gone a long way since then.
So I think we get our horses and we're like starting to ride away when Amy stops and kind of turns back and looks back, and you can kind of like faintly hear a guy going, "I said, come out." And I'm just like, I turn and back and look at Terrence, and then
I say, I'll take your lead.
And then we just kind of wordlessly communicate.
But there has to be some kind of cue. I mean, do you just look at him, or do you take out your gun and look at him? Or?
Yeah, I take out my gun and we head back. And
All right, so this is a move. This is deal with troops. When you fight a group of foes who are collectively below your scale, roll with a plus style element, and we'll hash out what happens. And just a reminder, when we did this yesterday, we kind of had weird results because of the way that the thing is phrased. So you would do me a huge favor if you just rolled really well right now. So what element? Oh, you're going to use your fighting element for this. So
Do I assist at all, or am I able to provide any assistance?
I think fictionally we're going to give you a +1 without burning a bond because A, you have a super huge jump on these guys, right? So I will just give you a +1 just straight up. And we'll account that for Terrence helping you and the fact that you collectively have a jump on them.
So that comes out to a total of 11.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to give Terrence describe what happens, like how this plays out. So Phil, why don't you give us the details of how the battle happens?
Sure. The speaker for the crowd says, "That's it. That's all we're waiting. On 3, we're gonna come in there and we're gonna mow you down." And they go 1, 2, and they leave at 2 because they're bad men, and they start running into the cave. At which point we once again nod our heads at each other. Out comes Miss Quackenbush's repeating Winchester rifle, and she starts to fire, spin it, fire, spin it, fire, spin it, and I start fanning the revolver. After she completely empties her Winchester and I've reloaded once, we just look and there's just smoke and bodies.
Nice. All right, so we're gonna do a smash cut and back to the Salt and Malt, where Doc is playing cards. It's rather late in the evening by the time this happens. So he's kind of playing cards with himself, right? The crowd is gone. It's mostly just him and Josiah behind the bar, and Josiah looks like Jen probably looks right now, ready to go to bed. When Terrence and Amy come back, we're kind of write off Dawson for now. He might resolve in the epilogue, but we're not going to deal with Dawson. They've clearly been in a fight. They smell like gun smoke. They are super dusty, despite Terrence's attempts to clean himself off. He has been through hell. They did some crazy climbing to get out of that mine. They went through, they look terrible.
Also, this is the first time you've seen either one of them really laugh, and they're both sort of laughing, passing a bottle back and forth.
Is that all right with you, Jen?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a weight has been lifted.
Yeah, I do think you need to modify your entanglement. Too. Okay, so work on that.
I think there's a joint vengeance entanglement now.
Yeah. Work on the language and your entanglement, and we'll review it when it's ready. On the other hand, Doc looks like he just kissed someone. So stuff has happened.
About time. You guys look like you're in a good mood. We've got to go.
I go, Doc, you got the face my horse is making.
That horse is a joke that keeps on giving.
I know how much you like that horse, so I'll take that as a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
Found out some things, and we need to go have a chat with Hale Johnson.
Okay. We should probably well, since you're a part owner of a mine, do you know where we can get about 24 coffins?
Rounding up.
I think you pay someone to build those when you need that many.
Normally, I'm already out of town by the time this comes about. But they tried to cut us off at the pass or something.
I got coffin building money.
I think we made an enemy, and I don't even know why. But that's kind of been my motif lately. So. Yeah, apparently we pissed somebody else off.
Well, that's what owning mines tend to do.
This is what it's like to be the landed gentry.
Why I tend not to hang on to such things, but
Yep.
this time might be different.
All right. Are you going to go see Hall tonight? We're going to say it's fairly late by the time you guys have gotten back together. Are you going to see Hall first thing in the morning? It's up to you.
I'm thinking. I of course is like, yep, I'm ready.
Okay. What
I'm
about?
not sure if Terrence and Amy want to go immediately.
Actually, what I would like to do is I'd like to go in the morning, and can I provide, or can we do? Let's see. Who else still has? Can I provide support or comfort to Amy, and could she potentially try the same for me as we kind of talk through what we, basically relive the victory?
Sure. Let's do this a couple different ways. So we're kind of like into our last pull, and I don't want to take another break because I do kind of want to end in a reasonable hour. I think you guys should go tonight, but we'll go and clear all your conditions for all the characters because I think we're kind of in our last windup. So if that's your primary concern, to make sure that you have those things cleared, let's just clear them and get you moving to see Mr. Johnson tonight. Does that sound like a plan?
I'm cool with that. Yeah.
Okay. So we might do some hard framing things from here on out to make sure we get to a good part of the storyline. So, Jen, does that work for you as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. So why don't you both clear your conditions? I think you have one each. Is that correct? Or you had one each. You guys are fast on those clearing conditions.
Oh yeah.
You say clear your conditions, maybe, and I was like, I'm done.
Well, it is just click a button.
Yeah.
I think too that that you've kind of rebuilt your bond with between Terrence and Amy. So you can bring that both back to one for both of you. So you had that as well. Okay, so are we good to meet with? You're going to go there in the middle of the night, and it is a boarding house. So they do expect people at all hours for what it is. But a boarding house essentially is do I need to explain a boarding house? Do you guys know all that? We all know how a boarding house works? Good.
Yeah.
It is on the outskirts of town, though. So you kind of fortify yourselves. In some cases, that's whiskey. In some cases, that's something else. Do you guys do anything special before you go there?
So I will, for the most part, share what I learned on the way.
Okay. Well, just to get out in the open, what do you think is going on?
Well, so I'm basically going by Lily's word. So mostly I share that he has leverage over the sheriff, and that the sheriff has been buying up property, and I show them the gun.
You guys have any comments about that?
And that I mean to stop the wedding. Because I'm oblivious to what they were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. They were talking about
which made it so good.
So
I imagine that they were talking the same time that I was like kissing Lily.
Yes, in fact, there's probably been smash cuts.
It's like pulling the strings of a puppet, and then she's like kissing me. It's like
Miss
everything's perfect.
I think our doctor friend is he's a couple pages behind in the book. Wouldn't you say?
Do you trust him?
Right now, all we can do is trust him. All we've got is each other. I think that if we needed to, we could call in some other friends, but right now we're all we got. So
Okay.
I would trust him with my money, but you know, I'd trust him to, you know, shoot next to me.
Okay. So someone's going to have to break the news. And this is important because I think something will happen after it. So who says what to Doc?
I think because of the feelings that Amy has for Doc, she really can't.
Okay. I think that's
So
reasonable.
she kind of motions for Terrence to.
I go, Doc, she's a beautiful woman. But
That she is.
But she's a sour bottle of milk.
What do you mean by that?
I think that if we get down to the bottle of mezcal, she's the scorpion floating at the bottom.
Well, not sure you got it right, but I guess we'll see what Hale or Hall. Is it Hall Johnson? Yeah.
Hall, yeah.
Has to
just
okay,
keep that in mind. I hope I'm wrong, but
No,
just keep that in mind.
This is an inner conflict for Doc. Basically,
Yep.
Terrence is told the thing, and also I think you're entangling Terrence about Lily's should change, but that's fine. But this is definitely a inner conflict for Terrence. I'm sorry, for Doc.
Yep.
You're gonna have to roll for it. So tell me what element you're gonna roll, and let's see what happens.
I mean, again, we feel like fire has been the Lily element, so we'll keep that up.
Okay.
That's a 6.
Okay.
So clearly, I am just trying to make my way into Lily's bed.
I think so. I think that this is, I mean, it's been kind of brewing ever since the train that Terrence is, yeah, this is a clearly concocted story. I think, so I get a hard move.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Doc, if you're cool with this, you get upset and you leave. And I think you might want to go see Lily while the other two talk to Hall.
All right.
Well, maybe not see Lily, but you do. I do think that this is enough for you to say no. I'm not going to be there when you do this, and let's work that out.
Yeah,
let's say the group splits somehow.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide if it makes more sense that I'd be like, fine, if you don't want to help, I'll deal with Hall myself, or like I wonder if
that works
would
for me
fit more.
That would work for me too, if as long as the other two agree that they're going to let you run off by yourself.
Yeah, like I like the idea of like us splitting.
Yeah. Does that work for you, Terrence and Amy?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, Doc, what does this look like? He's basically telling you this, and it's crazy talk. So, how does Doc make his exit?
I knew you were interested in her. I just didn't think you'd make up lies. You guys wanted to rest anyway. I'll go deal with this myself. And
Doc,
it's the outskirts, so I assume I'm on a horse. But
as he keeps walking away, shake my head. He'll learn. He'll figure it out. I just hope it's not a fatal lesson.
Okay, cool. I like it. So Doc goes to the boarding house, yes?
Yep.
Okay, so it's on the outskirts of town. It's far enough that that it's going to take you a long walk at this hour, and it's, you know, this is the Old West. You don't get your horse out just to go, a mile. You would walk it. So it's on the far side of town. The town is eerily quiet. It's the eve of the funeral. Normally, this town would be kind of bustling even at this hour because of the miners and the kind of citizens that do live here. but you locate the boarding house fairly easily. It is at the very last house on this main drag through the town. It is also further apart from the nearest building. So the nearest building is actually, we're going to say it's a tanner, right? So a place that does leather working. So that place smells. So it's so unpopular that it is even further out than the place where they tan hides. It is a tall building, though. You gather from the name of the establishment, which is well, not the name of the establishment. The name of the establishment is Mrs. Weaver's. It's in the signage says it, but it also says below "Miners Welcome." So this is the place where some of the miners lived when the stakes were being claimed 5 years ago. From where you can tell right now, just looking at the windows, there's only one light on. So it's quite possible that you're almost certain that one light is his room, and it's quite possible he might be the only one living there, in addition to the owner of the place. So you're also very upset. Terrence has told you some unpopular truth. So what do you do?
I imagine that I'll basically I'm just fuming and storm up to the building, and I'll just call out, "Hall, we need to talk."
Okay. Do you actually enter the building at this point? Because you have to enter the building and go up a stair. So it's more like a hotel. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I was at first picturing he was on the first. So yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So I won't yell from outside to the second story.
Yeah. Okay. You'll walk in and then go to his door.
Yep.
Okay. So you walk in. The Mrs. Weaver looks at you and kind of shakes her head, does this and goes back into her room. This happens all the time, apparently. And you walk upstairs to the room that Lily told you, and also the room that you see the light coming in from underneath the door, so you're definitely at the right door. You pound on it and say "Hall," and what does that look like? Okay. What do you say exactly? I do want to understand it.
So yeah, I think basically what I said before. So, "Hall, we need to talk."
All right. So you pound on the door. The door opens. It was ajar. The door opens slowly, and you see a dead body in bed. You believe that it's Hall Johnson. You remember him from way past. Like I said, he was kind of a seedy individual, and the years haven't done him well. The gunshot wound definitely doesn't do him well. It's right through the heart. Expert shot. He's been dead a couple hours.
Well, I'm gonna do a quick scan of the room.
All right, do a study. Choose your element.
I think we'll do. I guess I'll do fire because speed.
Okay, cool. Let's
Yeah,
roll it. All right, nice. So is that what's the total?
Yep, that'll be 11.
Okay, an 11. So an 11, you do a study. You can do any of those 4 twice. So we're going to reserve one thing though. You're going to learn a person's scale, and I'll explain that in a moment. So you get that one. You should do that one for sure. So
okay. So yeah.
What about the other?
And then.
Do you want to hold it based on what's going to happen?
Yeah, I guess I'll hold it for now.
So you hear a click of a gun behind you, actually further down the hall. You see a figure in the dark. raise up a shotgun, and you know what's going to happen next. He's going to fire both barrels and kill you. So that's why you're going to learn the person scale. This person is the same as you. The foe is on your scale. So with that in mind, how do you want to spend the second hold?
I mean, I'm thinking basically doing the reveal of detail. So like I see a place that looks like I could like jump into the room and not get blasted by a shotgun.
Sure.
It should be like a safe for like there's a dresser or whatever. Like
I am totally into it. Okay, so yeah, last minute you see you see yeah, you see exactly what you're looking for. Maybe a space if you go into the room. You'll be out of this shotgun blast. Okay, so cool. That will give you an opportunity. I do want to make you do an overcome roll to escape that shotgun. So
all right.
why don't you go ahead and do that? And we'll give you a +1 because you did that study before and you found that space.
I feel like I'll still be on fire for
Okay, cool.
quickly dodging out of the way. Let's see how this goes.
Oh, that's
7.
Okay, well that's good enough, right?
Yeah.
So 7, it's a success. You get out of the way. He might have winged you. We're going to say that you took a couple pellets in the arm. If you're cool with that.
Yeah.
I think you have to mark a condition for that, but you're alive. And so decide what condition you're going to mark.
Can I use a move?
What move?
Have sword will travel. Once per session, you may announce your presence in the perfect place to help someone, ignoring time, distance, or plausibility.
Absolutely. That is exactly the time to use this.
I imagine you hear the shotgun go off. You dive. You're bleeding from the arm, and next thing all you hear is blam, 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 and then you hear a body hit the floor.
No, you don't get that. I think
you get that.
You get to appear there, but we're still going to do the duel.
Okay, so yeah.
Does that work for you?
Yep.
I think you hear a couple of rounds being fired. You're going to do the duel with this guy. Okay. The foe is your scale. You guys are all the same scale. So Let's see what this looks like. So you roll plus your style element. And again, Brian, you're right there. So Doc could help him.
Yeah.
By burning the bond.
Yep, I'll burn bond.
Okay, cool. So you get a +1 for that bond, Philip.
Let's see what we got. So we have 8 plus 3 is an 11.
Okay, 11 is an excellent result. So an 11, on a 10 plus, you win the conflict and maybe mark XP if you show mercy or let them escape. So you may declare a shift in the fiction. You can change a heart, impress someone, and that includes Doc if you guys want to work on that. And you also, you also win the duel. So you have a couple choices here to make fictionally, Phil. You have to decide whether you're going to beat the person and let them go, or that. And then you also should decide a fiction shift.
Okay, then I changed this a little bit. He just fired the shotgun, and Doc just got peppered. Mm-hmm. He breaks it down, and he's dropping 2 more rounds in it. At which point, I press the gun to the back of his head, and I go, "My suggestion would be, you just drop that, son." And so I don't kill him, but I do beat him.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Would
Excellent.
that be how, I think that's how kind of that would play out.
Show mercy, though, it assumes that this person after the scene is going to go away, right? Like they're going to get
Yeah.
away. He's not going to be held prisoner or any jazz like that.
I don't have a jail cell to hold, man, so.
Okay. I mean, we could do some fiction to discover who that person is, but the idea being that you let them go.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but in terms of changing the fiction, you can work on the rift, obviously, between Terrence and Doc, if you want to do that.
Mhm.
So do you want to make a declaration of a shift here with Doc's support, of course. Doc did help you.
It seems like if you want it to be that, like,
Mhm.
you know, this is a good reason for me to start believing you again.
Yeah. I go, Doc, my apologies. I know that you said you wanted to handle this alone, but I figured, we can't see behind us, so that's what friends are for.
Well, given the circumstances, it seems like I should put some faith in your words and beliefs. So
I understand. I should have chosen my words properly. Sometimes I'm not the best speaker. So I go, by the way, who the hell are you? To the guy with the shotgun.
All right. I think the lantern raises. You shine the light into his face. It is Mr. Wright. And Mr. Wright, if you recall, was at the table. He's the person that you won that diamond from.
I go, Mr. Wright, it appears I have beaten you a second time. Why are you back here? I don't want to make it a third.
It's not what you think. We got to pay a lot of money to come back to end you. This is all professional. You understand. I know what kind of work you're in.
Well, you let us know who is paying you, and I guess we can meet again a third time.
And then at that point, he shows his badge. McFadden. I took Miss Quackenbush's gun. They're gonna say that that Quackenbush killed Thompson. I'm sorry, Johnson. Putting it all on you. I appreciate you doing this for me, Hill. I won't forget it. We can call us even on that diamond, but you let me go, we just go away, and you can deal with it yourself. You take down McFadden, and this all kind of goes away.
I think that you're going to have to find another town to be a lawman in.
Well, he's not a lawman in this town. He's from Santa Fe. So I was just doing a favor for an old friend. But you know how it is. Maybe if you're in Santa Fe, we'll have a drink sometime.
We will. By the way, last time I beat you, I took a diamond as a souvenir. This time I want to reach forward and take the badge.
Wow. Okay, that is totally cool. Nice.
I go, I'm starting to collect things from you.
I love it. All right. He looks like he's going to say something, but looks down at the gun and says nothing. Well, your friend's going to bleed out.
Mm-hmm.
Should attend to him.
I will. Drop Miss Quackenbush's gun before you leave.
All right. So he does this thing where he's showing you his hands. He takes the gun out and
Mm-hmm.
gives it to you, or drops it at your feet.
Mm-hmm.
I think this settles everything, Mr. Hill. Your friend's bleeding.
I will take care of it. Walk.
All right. You hear him clamber down the hill, down the hall, and he must have paid off Mrs. Smith because she has not said a word. So
I go, Doc.
Yeah, go ahead. I know what you're doing.
You got me of that tonic?
Of course.
And I take it and I actually start to drink the tonic. I go, now do you have some? I go, now do you have something useful for your wound?
Yes, I have that too.
All right. And we start to bandage him up a little bit.
Okay, so this is a comfort or support. When you get to assist or clear harm from a fellow PC, roll. On a hit, they may accept your words. They can clear a checked element or gain a bond with you. On a 10 plus, you can clear one of your own elements, ask them a question, or gain a bond. So you need to roll, decide what you're going to roll on, and we'll go from there.
All right. I guess I will. Let's see. I guess wood, maybe growth.
Okay, cool.
So I'll try to do that. 10.
Okay, excellent. So on a 10, first off, you get to clear a bond. If you listen to his words, Doc, you can always just say, fuck you, I'm in love with Lily, and reject it. But you definitely can clear an element now.
Okay. So does the bond increase, or if we've already got one as a 1?
Well, here's the thing: if on a 10 plus, you can't clear an element. You're not injured, but now you ask them a question, they have to answer it, and then you gain the bond. So.
Okay. I go, all right. What the hell's in this?
What's in it, Doc? You have to answer.
I'm going to go with, whiskey and a little snake oil.
It's good. I had a friend that basically had whiskey and a little bit of his own pee in it. He just thought it was really funny.
All right.
So at least a snake oil. At least you're trying.
All right. So I'm going to assume that you've listened to him and you've cleared a bond. Have you already cleared it? And I just have not looked at it. You guys are very fast on these kind of things. Okay. All right. So we're nearing 11:30. We're going to go a little bit past, obviously. So I'm going to do a little bit hard framing. It's funeral time. Next day, the three of you are doing that long walk to Boot Hill. Town is empty. There's no one around. There's no fanfare. It's just the three of you walking up to the cemetery. And at the top of the hill, you see Sheriff McFadden waiting for you. Okay, so it's a long walk. Do you see anything between the three of you before this happens?
Well, I guess here's where the truth's going to come out. Whatever it is.
It's going to be a lot more than truth.
Well, truth coming out tends to cause other things.
I actually have a weird question. Since Jasper was a pistolero, are there any of the other pistoleros in town?
I think there is.
Can I use my deadly secret ability? That I can declare one detail about their reputation or their clan's activities?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
What I would like to say are magpies are wandering pistoleros. The ones that were basically, it's like 1% motorcycle gangs that don't have a chapter.
Yes, I dig it. Okay, I'm so into this.
Yeah. So it's one of those where that's where the magpies come from.
Okay, cool. So the three of you are walking up, and eventually you reach the top of Boot Hill, and you are a considerable distance away from the sheriff before he kind of does this and reveals that he has 2 6-shooters at his side. And he kind of looks you over. He says, "I wanted to come to this. You folk are all right by me, but coming back here was a mistake."
Well,
think the mistake started with you.
You don't understand. I'd do anything for Lily. When she killed McGillicuddy, I couldn't let her take the fall. She has plans for this place. I don't understand. They're bigger than us, but now you're in the way, and you have to go.
So you're going to gun down the two of us. Well, three. Well, Dawson overslept.
No, there's three of you. Amy's there too, so it's.
Amy's there too, and Dawson overslept. He missed his wake up call. Yeah, so you're going to gun down the three of us right here in the middle of this town, expect nobody's going to care.
Nobody will care. Once the diamonds start coming in, no one's going to care. The money will paper over all of this.
Call yourself a lawman.
McGillicuddy was the only one we couldn't get to.
Why couldn't you get to him?
So she had to kill him. I don't know, principles. I don't know what those pistoleros are into. They think the world runs on some kind of honor system. There's no honor. We make our own honor.
Well, every pistolero that I've ever met ain't worth a damn. Wouldn't you agree, Sheriff?
Well, at least we agree on something.
So you're going to just gun the three of us down.
I'm going to try.
It's a very sad day here.
Okay, I don't know exactly how to do a 3 versus 1 duel. So we're going to have to do some improvisation. So this foe is slightly above your scale. So if your foe is above your scale, you can lose your conflict. However, there's 3 of you, so that roughly cancels it out. He is at your scale if all 3 of you fight. So all 3 of you now have to agree that you're working together to take him down. So.
Oh, yeah.
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 All right. So everyone's going to draw at the same time. So if the foe is on your scale, we get to roll. However, only one of you is going to do the roll. So the other 2 get to burn bonds to help if that's the case. So who would like to be pulling the trigger on this one?
Anybody have any specific funkiness?
Yeah. Anything on your sheet that you think might apply?
So the only thing that I can think of is that if I can use, because like I assume that what he's going to try to do is basically draw quicker using the gun that I had spotted before. So not the ones in his holster. And so in theory, if I'm acting upon that, I could get a +1 forward.
I think that's kind of reaching. So let's see what other people are thinking.
Yeah. And then I wouldn't have anything else.
Terrence, I do think that your rebel thing might apply. So
Yep.
But I think that you might need to only tap into that if for some reason you lose.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
So you have a couple options. So Jennifer, do you have anything on your sheet that you think you could use?
Nothing that really makes any kind of difference.
Okay. So at this point, who's feeling lucky? You're gonna someone's gonna make the roll. It's not gonna be me.
Honestly, I've been rolling well, so I will probably miss this one.
So Dan, Jock, Jen, or Doc, do you? Which one of you 2 would want to step up?
I mean, I'm feeling lucky.
Okay, let's do it. Jen,
Yeah,
does that work for you?
Yeah, yeah.
All right,
So we both burn a bond.
yes, so you'll get +2 from the bonds, Jen and Terrence, and also whatever element you choose. No, it's not. You don't choose. You choose your dueling style.
Yeah.
So you get +2 for that, I assume, right? So
Yeah.
you're a total +4. We're gonna see what happens.
Yeah. And so fictionally, I'm because I feel like it fits better that I'm gonna be using the gun that I
McGillicuddy's
took from
gun?
the safe. Yeah, that I had
Yes,
loaded.
sure. I think
Um,
everyone's firing at the same time, though. This is one of the things
yeah,
where, this is a big, this is a fistful of dollars, actually, for a few dollars more moment where, everyone is drawing at the same time. There's a long lead in, lots of, shots, close in shots, that kind of thing. Yeah, but that's excellent that you use that gun. All right. So let's see what this roll is,
all
Ryan.
right.
9
Well,
plus 4.
that's a 13.
Excellent. So if it was your scale on a 10 plus, you win the conflict and may mark XP if you show mercy or let them escape. I think this applies to all of you too. So if you show mercy, you will all get XP. If you blow him away, though, he's gone, and it's up to you. You may also declare a shift in the fiction. So something significant happens right here. So decision number 1, and since you did pull the trigger, you get the choice to say whether you kill him or not.
I mean, I think I kill him.
Okay. All right. I think that works. Now you get to modify the fiction. So change of heart for someone, impress someone, shift in entanglement.
So, I mean, because it's probably not the best in choice, but I'm kind of thinking that I want to continue to basically that I'm going to be trying to impress Lily.
Okay, cool.
And yeah.
Okay, so we're near the end of this, and I'm going to suggest that we do a short scene with Doc and Lily by themselves. You really have shot the sheriff.
Yep.
It goes
But
on
we
with
didn't
the
shoot the
song.
Jeopardy.
But I did not shoot the deputy.
This is true. Well, in this scenario, the deputy's the guy that we left go
Yeah.
last night.
To your surprise, this kind of releases a huge amount of pressure over the town. I think the pistoleros do come out of the woodwork to support you. So there is a little bit of confrontations as you walk down that hill. Some people, supporters of the sheriff, come up to you, and but more than a few citizens come up and they nod in your direction as you pass. You make that slow, long walk back to the saloon. There's also talk that, everyone knows that you're a landowner now. They do need a new sheriff, Terrence.
Already got a badge.
Something to think
It's
about.
true.
So we're going to do epilogues in a minute, but I do want to do this last scene. Doc, you find Lily at the sheriff's office. She has a bag packed, and you find her crying and putting her things into the bag, and she says, "So what happens now, Doc?"
Well, it is unfortunate that you had to kill your father, but I feel like if you want to stay, there's still opportunity here for you.
She kind of looks at you over and says, I could cut you in. We could get rid of your friends, and this all can keep going.
Well, I know my friends have my back. They don't have to go.
They do have to go. You know it. Plus, with Terrence, there's always going to be that question, but with him gone, it could just be you and me. What do you say? It doesn't have to end that way. We could keep the mind going. Just you and me.
I'm afraid that I have to trust Terrence on this one.
All right, now you hear a click of a gun. She was reaching in the bag for it. This is a duel. The foe is on a lesser scale. What are you going to do? Are you going to fight back? How do you want this to play?
So I want to, yeah, I basically want to use my, like, as I said, my, like, metal playing cards,
Yes, awesome.
to, like, throw that to, like, slash her arm so that she has to drop.
Well, now we get to
the bag.
roll, and then we'll see what
Yeah.
actually happens. So you're using the card. I love it. It's awesome. So you roll your style element. Unfortunately, your friends aren't there. This is you and
Yep.
Lily.
Well, still 11. Right.
Okay, so that is a direct win. So you get to mark XP if you show mercy or let them escape. What do? Or you can just kill her.
No, I'll let her escape. So yeah, I pitch her. Basically, assuming it works. I did what I said, so I throw the card, so she has to drop the bag. Goes, you can find another town where I'm sure you'll do well.
She resumes crying and she says, "I'm gonna get you back, Doc. You and your friends. May not be soon, but I'll get you back. You did kill my father."
Well,
Prepare to die.
you killed a lot of people too. I hope they don't catch up with you first.
Awesome. Good line. So with that, we're going to kind of bring this to the epilogue phase. We're going to do some epilogues for our characters. It could be 1 week from now. It could be 10 years from now. So think about, give yourself a few seconds to think about what's going to happen to your character as the credits roll and we show what's going on with your characters over time. Who would like to go first? Wow, no volunteers. Or was Philip about to do it? Nice.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I'll go first. I think we kind of have the lead up of where it's going to be. Terrence Hill's, he's on the top end of 40 at this point. He's finally got something, so he does put on the star. Reaches out to a couple of his old pistolero friends that puts them on as deputies and starts to run the town the way it should be. He doesn't always make the right decisions, but he tries to make the right decisions, which is all that you can really hope for in a sheriff. He takes what resources he can from the mine. He divvies it up as appropriately and funnels a little bit back into the town. So he likes to think that every day he wakes up, this town's just a little bit better. And he's finally found a home.
Awesome. We'll go with Amy next. What happens to Amy? Does she stay in town? Does she build on her relationship with Terrence? She's rich now, and she doesn't have the same kind of vendetta that she had when she started. What happens to her?
She's kind of at a loss for a while. She's been seeking revenge for so long that she almost doesn't know what to do with herself. But I think she didn't build a house on that property, but I think she does end up building a house here in town.
I see. So she stays in town.
Yeah.
What's her relationship like with Terrence, since they're both staying in town after years of being rootless?
I think friends.
Okay.
Although it might could go more than that eventually, but
It would have to be slow because there's a lot of
Okay. I like it.
But the two together do start to do research and track down who actually did put Charlie's name on that piece of paper.
Yeah, and I think like the last scene is that Amy gets some mail from Albuquerque, and she opens it and she finds what she needs, and the guns are brought out again.
yeah.
All right. So, Doc, what happens to Doc?
So that the sheriff was from Albuquerque, right? The one that we
No, from Santa Fe.
Santa Fe, yeah. So I see, like, I don't know, years later, a similar situation where he's playing a game with him, but he's playing a game, but the game is for basically information that he specifically wants to pass on
I see.
to him. And it's about Lily's most recent machinations in, or we're going to say, Albuquerque.
Nice. Okay, so Doc continues the wandering life, gambling his way through the Southwest, and now he's kind of working with a little bit more purpose, though, right?
Yeah, so he loses the game and passes on the information and a diamond that came from the mine
Nice.
to balance out some scales.
Excellent. And I think that's a wrap. I think that is Hearts of Wulin, A Heart is a Diamond. So that is our game. I'm going to stop the recording now. We're going to do a little bit of debrief. I know it's super late for you guys. Thank you for staying late, but
Absolutely.
we're going to stop the recording and talk a little bit.